Hello,
Good
good
day.
day. How are
Good
you?
to see him. Okay. All right. Do you go by Chris or Christopher?
Chris, please.
Okay, Chris.
Let
All right,
me,
Chris, you may fire when ready.
thank you. So hopefully you can all see my slides.
Perfect.
Um, let me jump back to the start. Okay, so hello everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to join you today and to present some work from the World Intellectual Property Organization at this event. My name is Chris Harrison. I'm a patent analytics manager here at WIPO. Um, Now, for those of you who do not know who the World Intellectual Property Organization are, we are a specialized agency of the United Nations, and we're based in Geneva in Switzerland. We have 193 member states that's all around providing intellectual property services and leading the development of an effective IP system for the innovation and creativity of everyone. And Today I'm going to talk about patent analytics, about IP analytics, and some of the work that we do in this space at WIPO. And so WIPO's support for innovation services spans the entirety of the innovation life cycle, from ideas to product development to commercialization or utilization of technologies. And this is not only by accessing and searching technology found in patent and scientific technical databases, but also by analyzing this data to show useful technological and business trends. And this is where patent analytics or IP analytics more broadly comes in. So what we do is we leverage the wealth of the knowledge that's contained in public patent data to provide added value information and to support informed decision making or informed policy making. So why do we do this type of work? Well, there is a wealth of patent data that's publicly available in patent registers around the world. So there's over 100 million published patents that exist worldwide, and that's growing by over 3 million a year. Patent data is very standardized in its format, which makes it a good indicator for tracking science and technology outputs and for innovation tracking more broadly. Ultimately, it is a unique source of information. Studies now several years old, but suggest that approximately 80% of all information that's made publicly available from a technology perspective is contained in patents and not held elsewhere. So it's a rich source of data to be able to mine and uncover insights about inventions, innovation, and technological developments. And very quickly, the IP analytics section at WIPO, we're responsible for developing WIPO's leadership role in using this type of work to help our member states develop their IP and innovation ecosystems, which is ultimately to drive economic growth, to support researchers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. And we've been preparing patent landscape reports and other IP analytics publications since about 2010. And these cover many different technology areas. And a patent landscape report does provide a snapshot of a technology area at a particular point in time, and that can be very insightful and to be used to inform policy discussions, strategic planning, or tech transfer. And that's just a small part of wider work that we do within the team at WIPO. But I'm here today to talk around a recent report that we published a few months ago on generative artificial intelligence, or Gen AI. And Gen AI is obviously a cutting edge technology that's poised to disrupt many different economic, social, and cultural sectors. And it certainly extends far beyond simple human-like text generation in ChatGPT and other similar tools. And the report, which we published in July of this year, it looks at the latest patent trends in Gen AI globally and provides a comprehensive and up-to-date understanding of the global patent landscape within Gen AI. But it also looks at insights into some of its future application areas and potential impact. And this is what I found really interesting about the research that we undertook, because um, before we started this work, I was quite naive, I think, about how Gen AI could really revolutionize many different sectors, and I just used it very much as a tool to support uh, some of the work that we do through tools like ChatGPT and other chatbots, or to help with my children's homework. But it's certainly an awful lot more than that in terms of what we see in the patent data in terms of real world applications using Gen AI. Now, our research shows, as you may expect, that patenting in Gen AI is booming, and we looked at scientific publications as well as looking at patent data, because that gives us quite a bit of context in terms of technology evolution from research through to commercial real world applications in patent data. And we found that there are over 54,000 patent families or inventions related to Gen AI, and about 75,000 scientific publications around the world. And this is between the last 10 years, so looking from 2014 up until 2023. But what's interesting is that this area is really growing and growing fast, which you probably would expect given what we've seen in the growth and deployment of ChatGPT and other tools in the last 2-3 years. And in 2023 alone, so last year, over 25% of all of the Gen AI patents globally, so that's over 14,000 inventions, were published in last year alone. And out of the 75,000 scientific publications since 2014, over 45% of these were published in 2023. That's over 34,000 scientific publications related to Gen AI published last year. And so that just shows how much this area is booming and growing at increasing speed. Now, the challenge with undertaking this piece of work was in how do we actually identify Gen AI patents, and that's not straightforward. It's not straightforward because Gen AI is such a modern concept, and there's no clear technical definition of the area, and there's certainly no fully established patent classification schemes to help us use more traditional search approaches to identify many of the patents. And so as such, our methodology was a combination of using traditional patent search approaches, but also using about 100 prompts for various concepts of Gen AI. And we used an advanced AI search algorithm to help us find Gen AI patents themselves. And so it was a combined approach. And so we basically then took these two different approaches to conducting a patent search, one traditional and one AI based, and then we fused the data sets together, which we then transferred to an AI classifier to help increase accuracy and identify the real patents that are related to Gen AI. And this was actually quite a novel approach for us at WIPO. It was the first time that we'd undertaken such an exercise, but it was critical given how fast growing and new Gen AI is in the area, because the traditional search approach was not going to be fit for purpose. So now we dive into a bit of the data. So what does it tell us about the patenting and general research activities around Gen AI? Well, since the introduction of the transformer in 2017, so that's the deep neural network architecture behind large language models that have become synonymous with Gen AI, the number of patents have increased by over 800%. And you can see the level of growth here, and you can really see from what I showed in my previous slide around the huge volume of scientific publications that were published in last year alone. And you can see how following the release of ChatGPT in 2022, that really then spurred on many different researchers to start looking at other potential research in the Gen AI field. And this new WIPO report on Gen AI builds on a groundbreaking study that WIPO published as part of our technology trend series on artificial intelligence more broadly, and that was in 2019. And Gen AI is a subset of wider AI. So we looked at the share of Gen AI patent publications amongst all AI patents. And although this has shown a slight uptick since 2017, where it was about 4.2% of all AI patents were related to Gen AI. This has only increased to just over 6% now at 6.1%. Now, this will increase in the future, but I think it just shows as much as we're seeing rapid growth in patenting and research in Gen AI, certainly within the patent space, it's still only a very small part of the overall levels of patenting that are going on within AI technologies more broadly. Looking at some of the data in more detail, who are the companies, who are the players, the actors with the most patents related to Gen AI, and we see that 17 out of the top 20 come from companies, and universities or public research organizations account for the remaining three. The top applicants are Tencent and Ping An Insurance Group and Baidu from China. And Chinese organizations represent 13 out of the top 20 Gen AI patent applicants. The remaining seven come from the US, Japan, and the Republic of Korea. And the development at a country level is also interesting to explore, because by looking at where inventions originate using the information from the location of inventors, we get a good idea around where the innovative and research activities are taking place within a field. And so you can see from this plot that numbers are increasing across the world, but China, the US, Republic of Korea, and also Japan and India lead the way. But you can see the dominance of China in patenting within Gen AI areas. And so there's a 70% market share of patents coming from China. But what's interesting is actually the highest growth over the last few years is coming from India. So although they have a very small share, only 3% of Gen AI patents are coming from India, they've got a large growth rate. And that's interesting because it shows that there is a country that patents less, but they are growing at a rapid rate compared to some of the other countries involved. Now, when it comes to trying to categorize Gen AI, it's very broad. There's some blurred boundaries in terms of where things can be subdivided very easily. But the way we approach this was to look at the different models, the different modes, and the different applications. So the different models, these are loosely the Gen AI algorithms that are used to run the input data and then generate the outputs. So these are things that you're probably familiar with or have heard with, like GANs, generative adversarial networks, or large language models, or variational autoencoders. These are different models of Gen AI algorithms. We then have the modes, which are basically the different types of input or output data. So you might be quite familiar with talking with a tool like ChatGPT of using text data, but there's many other different inputs and outputs of Gen AI, whether that be image, video, speech, but then increasingly, and we'll come on to see this, other inputs and outputs like molecules and genes. And then applications, we will come on to this shortly, but there's many different applications that we grouped where Gen AI is having an input. Very quickly, looking at some of the models involved. So these are the different algorithms that are used. You can see that patenting is largely been involved with the growth since 2018 in GANs, in generative adversarial networks. And this is mainly used for image generation. Large language models are used primarily for text generation. Variational autoencoders are used for both text and images. But in the report, we have many further details looking at who has patented who has patents in relation to these different models for working on these different algorithms, and we break that up and drill down in many different in different dimensions as well. Sorry, skip one forward too many. If we then look at the different modes, so the different types of input and output data, most interesting here is in the bottom right, which is showing that the largest growth since 2018 has come in the molecules, genes, and proteins area, and that's seen almost 80% growth in patent publications in recent years. And this is, I think, also seems to be reflected in things that we hear from different companies that we speak to, that many people are familiar with some of the more conversational aspects of Gen AI using text and images or videos. But some of the advantages of some of these tools for completely changing the way industry goes about some of its processes is potentially revolutionary. And when we've spoken to companies who generate protein structures, they're now telling us that some of the Gen AI tools that they're using allows protein structures to, the generation of those to reduce what previously was several months or even years of research into the matter of a day or less. And that completely changes the way that they approach their research that they can undertake. If we look at some of the applications of Gen AI, we identified and categorized Gen AI patenting into 21 different application domains. It's perhaps not surprising to see that software-related applications dominate the patent filings, but it's actually in some of the areas lower down from there with some of these applications that are potentially really interesting. So life sciences touches on what I was just saying around around the use of genes and molecules and proteins for Gen AI development, but also some of the solutions that exist in some of the other areas like document management or transportation or telecoms. These are areas that have been growing also at pace with many different interesting applications using Gen AI. And our report takes a number of case studies looking at specific examples from these areas. We then look in more detail at some of the companies with the proportion of their portfolio which relates to these different applications. And although software is the largest, which we've removed from here just for brevity, we can see some of the companies that are specializing in certain areas. And so you could see in particular some of the life science and document management areas where some of the top applicants are involved, and similarly in the life science space within the academic sector as well. We can then also have a quick look at, well, how do these different inputs affect the different applications and who's using what in different areas? And the report features many of these interactive visualizations that allow you to drill down into the data and uncover insights for yourself and in the way that you want to interrogate it. So for the purposes of a presentation, this is just a static overview, but charts like this in our digital first report on the WIPO website are all fully interactive. So you can see the number of different patents in, for example, the transportation area that are using different types of inputs in the different modes. And then you can actually see what those patents are, who they come from, and what they relate to. So it allows you as the user to have the power to say, well, I'm interested in a certain area. What do I want to drill down and uncover? And ultimately, reports like this that we produce at WIPO, they're here to present the numbers and the facts. They're here to say, well, here's a line in the sand that says this is what a particular technology looks like at this point in time and its development. And this can be used as a useful evidence base to support further decision making that might take place at different levels. And there's obviously, as everyone knows, been a lot of news and hype related to Gen AI. And this report only ultimately does provide a start. It provides some of these solid facts. We do see that obviously, as you saw from an earlier chart, the scientific publications lead patent publications, and that's not surprising. This is seen across other areas as well. But certainly we expect because of that, because generally you have a lag in patents of a couple of years over scientific publications, that huge growth that we've seen in the last calendar year, and we're seeing similar growth when we look at the incomplete 2024 year data as well, with what we're looking at right now, similar levels of continued growth in both scientific publications and patents. And so this is expected to continue to grow, and this is ultimately, I think, just the start. What we're trying to do, though, ultimately is say this is what the technology landscape looks like, and then we leave it to others to help decide, well, what does this mean, and how this can support the decisions that we take. Because as a UN agency of the UN, we have many different member states that have many different interests in these areas. So our role is to, present the evidence base and allow others to use that for their own individual needs. And that's why some of the interactive visualizations and access and being transparent with the data is really important, because it allows different parties and different member states of WIPO to uncover their relevant insights to them. So if, for example, you were based in India, you might have a very different perspective and interest in how you want to cut and analyze the data than you might do if you were based in the US. And so the tools that we have now with from both a data visualization and data access point of views allows us to present a report like this at a point in time, but then allow you to use it to uncover your own insights depending on your needs. And the QR code here on this page will take you straight to the WIPO report, where you can access the report, interact with the data in many different ways. But if anyone has any specific questions or specific follow-ups, please either reach out to me directly, or through our generic email account for the team. But of course, I'm very happy to take any questions now if we've got a little bit of time. So thank you all. Michael, I think you're on mute.
Well, in that case, let's try it again. We do have a few minutes left before the next paper. If anybody has any questions, comments. If I could ask something, I'm not real knowledgeable about patents, but I saw the word world in there. So are people getting worldwide patents? Because normally, doesn't a patent go through a country?
Yeah, so patents are jurisdictional rights, so they only take effect in the country in where they've been filed and prosecuted. So to have a patent in the US, you have to file for a patent in the US. There are, however, a route to protection which is administered by WIPO, which is what people refer to as an international patent. It's through the Patent Cooperation Treaty, which essentially means that at WIPO, we administer the initial processing of a single application at the first stage of a patent process. Now, I won't go into the exact specifics of how this is processed, but imagine if you have an invention that has got potentially global reach, you want to protect it in many different markets. So if you say we're interested in protection in the US, across many different European nations, across Japan, Korea, China, instead of filing 10 or 12 or whatever you might consider different applications in each of those countries, you can file a single application with WIPO that goes through the first stage of the patent prosecution process, which is the search stage, through WIPO, and then it is examined according to national law when it spawns these different applications in each country. So instead of filing 12 applications through both search and examination in every country, you can file a single application, which is published at the first stage of a patent process by WIPO, and then it spawns national patents as it goes through the substantive examination process. So that's the reason for that.
Do you see any, or you anticipate any patent infringements? Because if these are in just certain countries, somebody from another country may try to copy it. These are essentially some kind of a process that somebody has patented, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
So,
so there's obviously patent infringement is an important topic, and many different people track different patents so that they're aware of what their competitors are doing and whether they're potentially infringing on anything. But ultimately, because patents are jurisdictional rights, if there is no patent protection in the country in which you are operating, then there would be no infringement. So, for example, if there was a French patent that exists and it's only been published within France or Europe more widely, you in the US could do whatever you wanted if there was no protection in the US. You wouldn't be infringing on those patents unless you did any importing of that or selling of that within the territories that it was protected in France and Europe, etc. So infringement only becomes an issue if as a company or an actor that's developing technologies, there has been patents that are in the country in which you are active, so to speak, or have a market.
Okay. I could just see that this infringement could be an issue, especially in some smaller countries that don't have the resources to develop something and say, hey, it's already developed, not patented here, so we have a right to use it, I guess, or at least copy it.
In those situations, if there wasn't protection in those smaller countries, then anyone in those countries with the means could do anything they want without infringing that patent in that country. It's only if this is where you then see when you look at patent data, depending on the different technologies and where the main markets are, you see different strategies that companies employ. So, for example, in the automotive sector, you'll see many of the big automotive manufacturers that are patenting only in the larger automotive countries where they are manufactured. So in the US, in Germany, in China, in Japan, in Korea, and you don't get patents published in like Australia or many parts of Africa or South America. Whereas, say, for example, vaccines that are applicable to all humans wherever they are in the planet, your big pharmaceutical companies want protection in pretty much every country around the world because they are selling their product in all those countries. So they don't want people to infringe or use it. Whereas, so you do, when you analyze patents, see different trends in different sectors that you look at.
Very interesting, Chris. Thank you so much. That was very informative. I didn't know a whole lot about this area, and I feel like I know a little bit more about it now. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay, according to my schedule here, who am I looking for? Tom O'Neill, was it? Where am I here? Day 2. I'm on the wrong day. Okay, so is Tom O'Neill, I think is the next one. He's an associate vice president at the University of Central Florida. And he's got the last half hour.
Hi, Mike. Unfortunately, Tom having some unforeseen activities in their families, and he running to home, and he speak with me. He is unable to do it.
Okay.
We can,
do we have a
yes,
plan B?
we can, let me see if there are, we can make it an open discussion. If Chris want to leave, no problem at all. Me and you, and I think it's Professor Macro. Where are you? Professor Macro, it's, and who will be here? Let me check.
It says he's here.
No, just I speak in the phone.
Oh,
You will be unable to do it because he is in the way to the home.
no.
Yes.
Okay. So we have a half hour roughly until the next session starts.
Yes.
What do we do here?
Yes, no problem. Let me manage this. I will present Mike from my side. My presentation today, I need to discuss specifically, we are focusing about the innovation. And the innovation, it is a powerful tool to solving the problem and solving the crisis from different perspectives. Today, I will share my knowledge about crisis management from a 360 growth wheel perspective. In fact, the team of growth wheel will be coming maybe after an hour. He will discuss also about the growth wheel. The growth wheel, first of all, we need to define what is the crisis management. We will discuss about the startup success via crisis management. We know that the entrepreneurs and the startup always looking to be success. And to be success, it's important to using some tool that can help them to be success. We need to, first of all, defining what is the crisis. And what is the crisis agenda? I should put my own agenda for the crisis. Then I need to check what is the crisis causes. And also I need to check the crisis financial options and the crisis credit agreement and the crisis cost budget and the profit review and IT innovation and IT optimization. This is the topic. Now I will present it by using a decision sheet for the strategy of 360 growth wheel development. First of all, for the success via crisis management, I need to define my methodology. I should have clear methodology for the crisis. Then I will define my own tools for this crisis. And then I will finalize by action plan. To solve the crisis, we need to have a clear action plan and also clear methodology, which lead to using clear tools. This is the growth wheel from 360 growth wheel. It consists from 4 challenges, and the challenges for any company, everybody is looking for, or the startups or the companies or the institutions or a university, whatever about the organization, looking to have an attractive business concept. And then we need to building customer relationship. and we have maintained portfolio operation, how I will do my operation, and then I will establish strong organization. The framework of a 360 model, first of all, we need to list the big challenges, then I will select my teams, skills teams, then I will select or choose my advisory to this crisis. The crisis management need quick decision and take action. It's the concept or the strategy of 360 growth wheel. Then I need to take the decision and take the action within using some tools. We call it decision tools. When we go closers, we have some indicators for the business concept, for customer relationship and operation and organization. And then I will have to focus in 20 focus area in the growth wheel, or we can call it 20 indicators. If we divided our circle to upper part and lower part, then we can call it internal and external indicators. Now we need to see what is the outcomes from the growth wheel. Growth wheel helping us to get a new idea, and this is what they're looking for. The startups looking to have a new idea or leading idea, which lead to success their work. The growth wheel strategy, this is for the growth wheel strategy. We apply it for the crisis management. It's applicable for any industry, any size of the project, any stage of the project. It's not important from early stage, any stage of the life stage for your project or your organization. You can apply the 360 model growth wheel. When I start to do my methodology to success, first of all, I need to define my methodology, and I put indicator to measure my methodology. Then I will do analyze, and then we improve the situation till we reaching the final destination. The mission for the 360 growth wheel, we listing the organization purpose and missions. This is what we call it this is what we call it as a decision sheet. The 360 growth wheel offering for the client, for the organization, for the startup. This sheet, this is applicable sheet. In this sheet, you can write your mission. Okay, and you can start to writing some information about your mission, and then you filtering your mission till you reach the final destinations for your own mission. Then what about if I want to create my vision? To create your vision for solving a problem, then again you will use some decision sheet about the vision. Those tools is already available and constructed from the strategy of 360 growth wheel, while I'm the advisory in 360 growth wheel, international advisory. And we use those tools with our entrepreneurs. We use it for the academic institutions. We use it for the organization, large company, small company, startup, entrepreneurs, inventor, for any person having their own idea or their business. Then in the vision, we create the vision. We present our opportunity or how we're solving the problems. Then we use another tool, what we call it 360 90 days plan. This is the tool. You listing your focus area, where you want to focus, and you write your decision, and you write some appropriate date, or let's say date or weeks when you can done this job. Then we call it 30, 60, 90 days plan. The new plan for your business. It's not important to make strategic plan for 5 years or for 1 year. It's okay to make it for 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. From this one, you can building your strategic plan from 90 days plan. The decision and action checklist, it will be helping you to focusing about your focus area and your decision and action. The tool for success through the crisis. First of all, I directly will be jumping on the tools. First of all, I will describe the crisis, make the honest description for your crisis. You will be a such person who will be having a right decision to write your crisis or to define your crisis. Then you will following some few steps. You create best solution, and you focusing in important aspects, and you meeting the key people. Then you will select the best people to solving your situations. Then you will identify the solution which take urgent action. This is the steps for how you describing your crisis. The aspects first is to the situation. You will define the situation. You will identify the important client. You will prepare your bank action plan, the resources, the economy action plan, and the emergency plan, and the most important operation suppliers. This is the crisis description decision sheet. You list all your information inside this sheet, and this sheet will be changing from time to time. And we have here the checklist, what you needed for your decision sheet. When we're going for the crisis agenda, you select the best decision you need and action for your crisis. And this is the crisis agenda. We have here the 4 challenging area, and in each challenging area, we have a focus area, around 5 focus area, and then you will write this one by your hand by evaluating your situations about your crisis agenda. The crisis causes, you find the root of who causing your problem or a crisis for your company or for the country crisis. The steps: make deep analysis for this crisis, choosing best solution, and making action plan for the future. And this is why I'm choosing this topic for our conference, because we're talking about today about the inventors and about the innovations, and those need to listing their situation or their journey when they starting from their inventions to going to the market. And to going to the market, they need to set up their startups or their companies, and the company need different type of skills. Maybe they are unable to have this skills to starting their own company. And also in the previous keynote speaker, they discussing about the situations about the each startup depending about the depressions, or depending about they make a plan for the company, and the company is collapse within let's say 1 year or 2 years because have a shortage of experience in some skills and knowledge. The crisis accuses you using the decision sheet again. You put all your information, and you will see how you reach the root of the crisis. The crisis challenges, we will identify the crisis from a personal perspective. You need to reflect the perspective about your personality. What is the strength from your personality, what is the weaknesses, and you can apply the SWOT analysis as a strategy about your own self. First of all, the steps you will meeting the key personnel, and you will take actions to overcome all challenges, and you will consider the positive future after the crisis is over. The personal challenges, you put yourself here and you try to listing or identifying all the personal challenges. The crisis financial options. Now we need to select the financial investment. Maybe the problem or the crisis for the company or for startup or inventors or for the university or organization or foundations having a crisis, maybe for financial options. Then we need to select the financial investment. The steps is we check the financing sources, and we making action plan how to comply with the requirement, and we contact the financing sources. Then we searching for the sources, and we checking with those sources how they can support your organization or support your crisis. And this is the financial options. We have a list of financial options to be used. Then you don't need to go for the financial advisory. 360 growth wheel strategy, helping you by using decision sheet to listing all your information. The crisis credit agreement, also you decide what type of negotiation with the investors. Then the crisis cost budget, we calculate the cost and we reduce the expenses. Sometimes with the entrepreneurs or startups or inventors, they keep paying the cost for the company, but you need to reduce the expenses. Maybe the expenses is all the time keep the company in a very weak situations from the cost-wise. Then we need to reduce the expenses. Use the spreadsheet. We will provide you with the spreadsheet. This spreadsheet, then check the number are realistic. You will need to check all the number for your expenses. For example, the simply example now, it's coming in, let's say in 5 to 6 years, the marketing, the social media marketing, or the emails marketing or the marketing, it's taking a lot of money from the startup, and the startup maybe is not a freestanding position in the cost-wise to paying for those marketing. Then maybe he need to pay for the marketing to let their company to be well known, but they unfortunately the cost will be so costly for the company. Then we need to check the number are realistic or reducing their prices or expenses. Then we make an action plan for best idea to reduce your cost. For example, if you're selling a product or services and you see your services is not manageable, but your friends and others, it's really they selling more, and you need to take care about your pricing list, and you need to pricing strategy, and you checking your prices. Maybe you need to reduce your prices in comparing with the other competitor. And this is the cost budget to listing all your prices and how you reduce these prices in comparing with the market or in comparing with your competitor. The profit review, you need to calculate how you increase your profit. Then you will find the sources of the profit to control the crisis. And this is the profit decision sheet. You can listing all the criteria or the indicators from where you can get profit for your company or organization. IT innovation, you find innovative approach for IT. I will give you a small example. Now, the most of the company now having their system for paying the payment through some platform, and they connect their platform with some big companies, and this is reducing their expenses by using some employee using for paying the payment. Then by using the technology, the latest technology, this will reduce the pricing, and we can use the IT innovations. Use IT system, accelerate the process, and select relevant IT system. Then you choose your best way to running your company or running your inventions by using the best relevant system for your crisis. And this is IT innovation. You listing all the innovative tools to be used for your crisis. We do IT optimization. Maybe you want to convert your organization streamline to reach digitalization. Then you need to make all your services, all your product to be digitalized, converted to be online. And using, for example, freelancers and using online advisory instead using in-person. The step, you identify the effective IT system to controlling your crisis and select the relevant IT system. Then you select the best IT for your crisis to be relevant for your company. And it's the decision sheet again about IT optimizations. Action plan. To success through crisis management, you need to have clear action plan. After all what we discussed, this is the scoreboard, or set your ambitions based on your crisis and the solutions of crisis after the journey, what I take you before about define the crisis and the best agenda and the relevant and the root of the crisis till you reaching your action plan. Thank you so much about this presentation about 360 innovation. Sorry, Mike.
Okay, so this 360 is a way to manage a crisis no matter in what area in the company it is. And you've laid out a nice framework here on how to do that. There is, I think, a little bit of a question in that what exactly is a crisis? So a crisis is something that came up that was unexpected, and usually there's a sense of urgency to solve the crisis. So I think some of these things you laid out here, you probably want to do ahead of time in anticipation of a crisis developing. And whatever area it develops, you'll have some kind of a plan to go ahead and solve it. Because with new entrepreneurs, you just don't know what crises are going to pop up, and how quickly you're going to have to solve them. Many of the crises, I think, have to do with financial aspects. So if you lay out something like this ahead of time, you'll say, well, if a financial crisis exists in this area, I've already thought about how I'm going to get through this. I'll go to the work that I've done, and I'll follow the agenda that I've set. So I think for new entrepreneurs, oftentimes they don't have enough time to do things. But if you can take some time and set up this 360 kind of a crisis management system, I think it'll help when further, as you go along and further problems develop.
Exactly, Professor Mike. It is important for the entrepreneur. This is the reason why we call it a startup success via crisis management. I mean, the crisis is not mean a collapsing of the company, but the crisis he need to define. He need to teach himself about those tools. Those tool is ready. Okay, it is available in the market, and he can subscribe and buying these tools. Okay, then when he buying those tools, he can reflecting in their crisis or their problem, because unfortunately the startup, maybe they don't have knowledge about, for example, the 360 tools, or they don't know about what do you mean by strategy, or how we can building their own strategy for the company. He is passionate for such product or such inventions, and then he start to selling this one without a knowledge. Those tools, when he stuck in let's say after a year, then he need to do some revision about the mission and vision and setting agenda, or they using what we call it, this plan, a methodology plan. It is 30, 60, 90 days plan. It's not important to have their own strategy. He can start within 30 days plan for selling or setting up their services or their product, and then he can extend, and he can be also more survive in the market.
Yeah, for any entrepreneur, planning is very important. Now, you can't plan for a crisis because you just don't know when it's going to happen and in what area of your business it will occur. But you've laid out here different areas where crises will occur, and if you have a plan to deal with them, then as they do pop up, you can just go to your plan and say, look, here's how we're gonna handle this. For a small entrepreneur,
because this one, Professor Mike, I give you just a little portion about the crisis management in reflection of 360 growth wheel strategy. It is a very big strategy. We have a 20 focus area. Each focus area will take you from us 5-6 hours. But just now I draw attention about the people. Look, entrepreneur, large company, small company, institutions, foundation. If you have a crisis, you can break down the crisis in this way. Using this strategy will help you to find the roots of the crisis and to solve this crisis, from your opinion, by using those tools.
Exactly. And this seems to be very comprehensive, and it looks like it covers all the areas where a crisis could pop up. And I know particularly for small new entrepreneurs, oftentimes a crisis seems catastrophic. Something
exactly. This is not comprehensive, Professor Mike. This is a practical tool. This tool is an active tool. For example, as I mentioned for you before, I show you this is available tool, and you see here it's empty spaces that easy for each entrepreneurs or company. They write what they looking for about their mission. What is, who, how. They asking themselves, this is ready. Instead of buying or hiring a company, build your strategy. And this is the main problem. Based on the study, they proven that the small businesses or the startup after 2 years is collapse and disappear from the market. 99% is not only 90% of those survive in the market. The problem is they need to review their situation about the vision, about the mission, about their financial situations, and then they need to be using some tools to help them. And in the coming day, there are several strategy, what call it agile strategy. It will be created by Ed Morris. Maybe tomorrow he will present this strategy. After an hour, David Mood, he will present also some strategy about the soft skill it should be required for the entrepreneurs, inventors, companies, and others. We don't need to take, I think, more time.